We are live. That's the signal. We're with you now.
It took us
Boys,
for those that don't know, it took us a little while this morning. Technical difficulties, but we're here.
we're here now, and so is the start of the NFL season. It's that week, all
Heyo,
right about it.
let's go.
It's like 4 days away. Real football, really happening. Johnny's so excited he's about to crap his pants, and he had to get off camera immediately. I'm right there with you, brother. I'm so pumped as well.
Oh boy. I don't even see where it's at. I was looking for it here. Like, oh, here we go. It's there now. But now, um, it's loading. Yep, I think we're here. We're good.
We're good to go. Figured out we'll glitch our way through this, stream it all the way
Wouldn't
through,
hey,
whatever, man.
wouldn't be the first Monday morning live of the new season without a few glitches and errors, you know what I mean?
Not just technically, but also on your fantasy rosters. A couple of glitches and errors people might have had coming out of their
Feel
draft. I know
attacked
that we
right
just
now.
got done. And I was not intending to come at you, Big Travie, which means maybe you're feeling some type of way about your draft. Maybe you're feeling some cracks exposed in my general comment. Was you feeling a little personal? Because it wasn't
Listen,
intended to be, I promise.
when you have some beers flowing and you're drafting, everything you're riding high on draft day, right? Like it's all good. And then you have that day when you wake up after draft day and you look at your roster and you go like, "Oh, I maybe could have done this here instead." No, I
You know,
think
that's a
overall,
great
what were you saying?
I was going to say that's such a great point about prepare we spend a lot of time obviously here getting ready for drafts. We've done the mock draft marathon, we've done the Monday mocks, all of those amazing things to get prepared, talking about analysis, strategy, all that good stuff. But then you get to the draft and it is a different ball game. Just like when you've got an NBA player that's practicing free throws in practice and then they go ahead and play it in game, your heart rate's going, the pressure is on. Like we should be doing mock drafts. Like people should be drinking regularly during their mock drafts, just like you said, so that they can make sure when they're actually drafting and likely drinking, they're mentally prepared and in that
Yeah,
same zone. Because just like you said, Big Travie,
it's like the mental it's like preparing at altitude essentially as an Olympic athlete. You got to
exactly.
prepare at altitude so you can like breathe better. Um we've got some Ishmael says Travi is a bit low and I don't know if we can hear Johnny.
Something's wrong in the universe then. Johnny's picking that one up. But Big Travie, Johnny, and I, Philly, Chelsea, is the rest of our league of record had our fantasy football draft this weekend. We went ahead and pivoted from our live in person draft that we do every single year. It's a destination draft selected by the winner and agreed upon by the league
Mike.
at large. We've also got our destination committee that we formed a couple of years back to assist in this process, coming up with the logistics and all of the activities that are held during our glorious Labor Day draft weekend. But Big Travie, we had to switch it this year. We went virtual because of the pandemic that we're dealing with. We got a lot of folks in our league who've got vulnerable and high risk members of their family that they just wanted to make sure everyone felt safe and felt good coming into this fantasy season. So we did a pivot and we took it virtual, we took it online. But I got to say, I'm very excited how this one panned out. It was, we didn't, man, the connection was still there. Everybody showed up in such a powerful way. And the way I saw it just created such a rich experience, virtual or not, that I'm so glad that we were able to have. And it's a testament to the power of fantasy football and the communities that make it such an enjoyable experience.
Yeah, I think that was well said, Austin. I think there was some big we went through a lot of waves this offseason with our league of record. We thought we might be able to get the draft done. It was a 10-year anniversary. We're going to go back to Flagstaff where we all met in college, draft there again. and do it up like we normally do. But then um, it was this situation with COVID, everything, people not feeling comfortable. We have to respect what everybody in the league wants to do, and that's fine. And then it was like, okay, we kind of had this like calming, weird feeling for a little while. And then as we started getting ready for the draft, things started to pick up again. That excitement came back. We were doing it virtual, but we made great shirts to commemorate the pandemic draft. We had this great schedule laid out by the league that we were on for Zoom calls and doing things. Johnny doing great video editing work for our league to bring some great moments together. And it was just a lot of fun, and I really cherished what we were able to get done, and I couldn't be more grateful for that. And then, of course, you got the draft in there, which is the greatest part of the greatest time of the year. And that was the draft, and we got to do that on a giant Zoom call and make fun of each other and toast shots and tell people to drink a beer, and it was great, man.
Such a powerful experience and just an amazing, beautiful reminder to me about why we do this and how good it is. I mean, the hours and hours and hours that we three here have put in getting ready for the 2020 season, the mocks, the analysis. Hell, you've got the Fantasy Whispers draft kit still available for $15 at fantasywhispers.com. If you got your draft coming up, go ahead and do yourself a favor. You're not going to miss that $15. You are going to miss the information that you could be applying to your draft coming up. It seriously gives you an advantage. Do yourself that favor. Drop the 15 bones, pick up the draft kit, get ready for your draft if you got one between now and Thursday. But anyways, I wanted to say that, all this analysis has been done, Travi, but you and I are sitting there the day before and the day after our actual draft, taking it to another level. I mean, you and I are talking about Melvin Gordon again, but now in a whole new light. We're talking about Antonio Gibson. We're talking about David Johnson. I mean, God, how many hours we've already spent talking about David Johnson? But then when it's our actual draft, it's like, let's take this on to another. We're going to the fourth dimension on this one.
Yeah.
So we got a lot of questions in here in the chat right now. I think we should get to some because some people are asking if they should get rid of Devonta Freeman. We had Devonta Freeman leaving Jacksonville without a contract. Then you had the news that just dropped a little bit ago about how Doug Marrone doesn't think that
Raquel Armstead is going to be ready to play for a while.
Yeah.
There's some stuff going on in Jacksonville, and it just keeps, people keep asking me in DMs or on some of our league mates talking about it. Other people that I talk to about fantasy football asking me about this Jacksonville backfield, and I say, if for me personally, if Leonard Fournette was a fade in this backfield because of the situation he was going to be in Jacksonville, I don't see how I'm getting excited about a guy like Raquel Armstead or even Devonta Freeman if he were to get signed by Jacksonville, because it just seems like it muddies up an even dirtier situation now that Fournette is not around. This team has talked about different guys being the reason why Fournette was cut. But, this was after Divine Ozigbo apparently had a great camp. So it's not a backfield I want any part of. I'm just going to say that right now. I just don't want a piece of this backfield.
This question that has been put here by Miles is very personal. He's asking about Devonta Freeman. Should I get rid of him? I'm asking that my exact self. I have Devonta Freeman. I picked up Freeman as soon as that news dropped on Saturday, and I dropped a Zigbo to pick him up, saying in my mind, right now, Raquel Armstead, Zigbo, and Robinson are all a toss-up for who's actually going to lead this probably not very good running situation over there in Jacksonville. That line hasn't gotten any better, and I don't know why they'd be playing from ahead most of the season. So I went ahead and I dropped a Zigbo with Devonta Freeman, thinking that if they pick up Freeman and he does sign in Jacksonville, it's less likely to then become a committee with Armstead, Robinson, and a Zigbo, as we've heard Devonta Freeman say he's only signing if he's going to be the guy. So in my mind, it was like, if he comes in there and he signs, he's been told he's going to be the guy in Jacksonville, and that's worth a stash there. But he left Jacksonville without a contract. He did pick up Drew Rosenhaus as his new agent, super agent Drew Rosenhaus, major player in the industry. And this was the first team that Freeman had met with after that signing had occurred. But he leaves North Florida without a contract. We still don't know where he's at right now. I haven't heard any murmurings of Devonta Freeman being considered by any other organizations. And because then the remaining running backs in Jacksonville are so divided and they're not a lot of pedigree, I agree with Big Trav. You might as well just go ahead and move on with this one. But Travis and I have also been talking a lot about your second question there. Should I get Preston Williams, Chris Thompson, Mecole Hardman? I'll say I think Chris Thompson is the only guy in Jacksonville who's got a role clear cut. Jay Gruden knows him, brought him over. We know what he's there to do. Catch passes out of the backfield. Likely going to be in a lot of third down work.
I think that question for Miles, and Johnny, I would like your opinion on this. I think that question for Miles that he's asking here, Preston Williams, Chris Thompson, or Mecole Hardman, really depends on roster construction and the way your roster's set up, like how deep is your bench and what do you need. Because Chris Thompson, yes, has a role. He might be a guy that could get you by if you needed to start off the season with some running back value at the beginning. But I really like stashing Mecole Hardman like Johnny has talked about all offseason for the upside of Mecole Hardman down the line, because he definitely could be a league winner if things broke his way in Kansas City.
Yeah, definitely. Like where you're getting these guys, they're all upside guys, or that's what you should be thinking. And to me, like, I understand Chris Thompson is going to be heavily a part of that Jags offense, but again, he's such a high injury risk to me that I would be swinging for Mecole Hardman out of these guys because he has the highest upside. If something were to happen to Tyreek Hill, which has happened over the last 2 years, then you're looking at a potential wide receiver, one upside guy in Mecole, and then he's paired with Pat Mahomes. So that's where I would look here. But again, I love that that Travis brought up the fact that look at your roster construction, because if you only have 3 running backs right now, but you have 4 wide receivers, and it wouldn't matter if Mecole ended up starting because he wouldn't meet your roster or make your roster, then there's no point in getting Mecole. You should go and get Chris Thompson. But if you have 4 running backs, 5 running backs, and Chris Thompson is just a guy that maybe you might start in a pinch, I would rather go with Mecole because he's the higher upside there, and to me, there's higher value.
So Harry Hippo asks,
10 times out of 10, I'd say.
Oh yeah, go for it. I'm sorry, Austin.
Rannox, I wanted to touch on the one other player that he mentioned there in Preston Williams. If you need a player to start today or this week, Chris Thompson, I think, is probably your best bet. Mecole Hardman is your best stash long-term, given the upside that Johnny and Travis have mentioned. And Preston Williams is someone Travis and I have been talking a lot about as I went ahead and picked Devontae Parker. I'm pretty excited about him. But Preston Williams is coming off of an injury, and if he is healthy, he had a really great start to the season last year, and a guy that you definitely want to keep an eye on. But as of right now, there's still talks about him being on a snap share or on a timeshare with his snaps. He is not 100% yet, and he is still just a second-year player. So I get the pop and the excitement based on his performance last year. Don't sleep on that there, but just recognize that he is coming into a situation coming off that ACL. He's not 100%, and he is just a second-year player. So to me, and he's not going to jump ahead of Devontae Parker. So Mecole Hardman is the answer.
Yeah, I love that take. Second of all, Harry Hippo is this guy's name. Could you imagine a hippo that was like really hairy, like long hair, like a woolly mammoth, maybe?
like a dog.
It's just like goes in the water, and it's just like wet hair just in the water the whole time.
Do hippos have hair, right? Hippos have hair on them.
I don't think it's like, I don't think it's like.
But it's not like woolly mammoth hair.
Yeah, exactly. Like Austin said, it's Homer Simpson. They've got like the 3 hair.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But anyways, Harry Hippo, getting to the meat and potatoes of his question, is Miles Sanders a good pick in the second round? Absolutely. Miles Sanders is a good pick in the first round. In some cases where you're at the end of your draft and you're trying to go running back robust, I am all about Miles Sanders. He's one of the best running backs at that turn, in my opinion. He's high on that board because of the absolute upside he has of being the one and only weapon that this offense may be able to put on the field due to health and other concerns. So I'm really all about Miles Sanders. So thanks for the question, Harry Hippo. You should
I think it was more concerned about the potential of the injury and all of that, because a couple of weeks ago it was looking like, oh, maybe you didn't want to take Miles Sanders with your first-round pick. But I will say to that point, if you look at the moves that the Philadelphia Eagles made, they cut 3 running backs. Elijah Holyfield was one of those guys, and so now I'm blanking on the other guy's name, the new rookie that they brought in. Anyway, what they did was they cut it down to three running backs on the roster: Clement, Boston Scott, and Miles Sanders. This tells me that they think Miles Sanders is fully prepared and ready to go for week 1. And I also had said I also think that this means that they'll use Boston Scott a little bit more in the beginning of the season. So I think that he has a role, especially in this early part of the season.
Yeah, I would agree with that. We've got 13 watching. We appreciate you guys jumping on here on a Labor Day Monday, right after your guys' drafts, maybe before some of your other drafts. If you still have a draft, get over to thefantasywhispers.com, get that draft kit, and prepare yourself for a crash course in fantasy football advice that will help you dominate your draft. That's over at thefantasywhispers.com. 14 watching now. Let's get those likes up. Only 4 likes there. We'd love to see a few more of those.
Hit that subscribe button if you're new to our channel. We're trying to get to 1,000. We're so close, fellas. We're so close.
Maybe we can do it by kickoff. Can we get 1,000? I know it's a big jump. It's like, but it's been going well. Tell your friends. Tell your mom. My goodness. Tell your dad. Get their asses to subscribe. Create a YouTube account for them. My goodness. Be a good son. Be a good kid. Help them out. They can watch cat videos afterwards. They're gonna love it.
So we are gonna have a regular season schedule. This Monday morning live show will actually be a little bit earlier than normal, or than we did it this morning. But that is going to be a consistent Monday show. It'll usually be Philly, Chelsea, me, and Johnny on that show. And Austin will make some surprise appearances, I'm sure, throughout the season as that gets going on that show. But that's our Monday morning show. That goes over some of our reaction for the games. We're also going to have waiver columns on Tuesday coming out. If you'd like to read your information, we're going to have a waiver show Johnny and I will be doing Tuesday morning, also here on YouTube. So subscribing is huge. That is definitely what you want to be doing because then you are ready. Like every time we do these things, like Austin's 2-minute drill, when that drops, where Austin goes through every single fantasy relevant player on every single matchup in less than 2 minutes. I mean, you're going to want to have that information. It's like a crash course. It's like everything you need.
You need to get ready for your league. You only got I got 2.5 minutes to make a decision. I got you, fam. I got you. You got 2.5 minutes. You got 30 seconds to spare. All right. You're going to get everything you need to know in 120 seconds or less, or your pizza's free. So I got you. And make sure you subscribe and like.
Crush some free pizza right now. So
Miles,
Miles,
gonna get it though, 'cause I'm always coming in under the clock.
Yeah, that's right. We've got some great other things, and then we've got our in-depth matchup show, right? And in order for you to get on that matchup show, you want to see that, you got to follow us over on Patreon. Get over to patreon.com, subscribe for a low price, and get into that matchup show that we're going to go, Johnny, Summy, Austin, and I, we're going to go into these matchups, every fantasy relevant player you can think of, more in depth, so you can really feel confident about those picks on Sunday. Let's get through some of these questions. Miles, this one is close to Austin's heart because in our league of record, he just drafted Mike Williams. He says, what do I do
and Whisper
with
League
Mike Williams? Yeah, so I'm actually going to pivot here. Johnny, what do you think about Mike Williams? Are you stashing Mike Williams? Do you think he comes back? Are you worried about Mike Williams?
I am worried about Mike Williams. I would honestly drop him. At this point, a month is a long time, and you're looking at a potential stash for somebody else, some other player that's going to benefit your team in the first few weeks. There's also the concern, like Mike Williams has never played a full season. He's always been injured, and he's already starting this season off injured. So I think I'd put him out on the waivers. I'd honestly put I think it's a bomb, so I would put it out in the waivers, hope somebody else picks it up, waste a roster spot. I understand the upside and the potential is juicy, but who's even to say that by week 4, Tyrod Taylor's even the starting quarterback for the LA Chargers? And so then you're looking at a rookie quarterback to come in and have, that relationship with, Mike Williams. I'm just concerned there. So I would actually put him on the waiver and let somebody else pick him up and use I'd rather have a Zigbo on my team. Or somebody else like that I could actually potentially be a dart throw over the first 4 weeks.
Well, Miles is now asking if he should trade him for Marquise Brown. If you can get that deal, I'd
Oh
get
yeah,
that
oh
deal.
yeah, I would do that in a heartbeat.
Oh hell yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
need to get that deal. If it's on the table, click accept before they come to their senses.
Before they watch this clip on YouTube, make sure.
Ryan Douglas, who came in and said, "What up, Whisper Nation?" Appreciate that. But he also asked, does Zach Moss end up getting the majority of the carries over Singletary? I'm obviously very biased. I've been banging the Zach Moss drum all offseason. I drafted Zach Moss in our league of record. I believe that's what happens in this backfield, but I'm not naive to think that Devin Singletary doesn't end up carving out his own role. So, Johnny, Austin, I'll kind of kick it between you two, whoever wants to start first. What's your take on this Buffalo backfield? How do you see it shaking out?
It's going to be, I think, a split backfield to start the season, and I think that Zach Moss ends up edging out Devin Singletary. I just don't know what Devin Singletary's advantage over Zach Moss is going to be once their competency and understanding of the system is equal. Singletary obviously has an advantage coming in as a second-year player in a familiar system, but Zach Moss appears to have the advantage in the pass catching and goal line situations. And I mean, Singletary's output was impressive at 5 yards a carry last year, but if you look at just the eye test for me, I'm not being blown away by anything that Singletary has done. And I think Zach Moss brings a little extra spice to the dish. And I think by end of season, he is the carry leader, the goal line leader, and maybe even the pass catching leader.
I think that I think fantasy owners are going to be really, really disappointed this year in the situation. I think either side of the argument, Singletary or Zach Moss, you're going to be frustrated. You're going to say, why can't you just give it to my guy? I see this very similar to a couple of years ago with Chris Carson and Rashad Penny, where you had this, like Rashad Penny is like really talented, but like Chris Carson was not going away, and he was just like kept going. They really do, because Seattle really likes Chris Carson. They really do like Devin Singletary. I know we want to like discredit him and say he's not a good football player, but all the beat writers have said, all the coaching staff said, like they love Singletary. And so I just think this is going to be a headache. I'm not saying that Zach Moss isn't. I agree that Zach Moss is a bigger version of Singletary, so it makes sense as to why they would move to Zach Moss full time. But I don't know if they're going to do that in Buffalo, and so I think it's going to be a little bit of a headache throughout the season as to what side.
I think it could definitely cause headache, like you're saying, Johnny. I like the comparison to Chris Carson and Rashad Penny. My only problem with that comparison is that Chris Carson is a totally different running back than Devin Singletary, and actually Zach Moss kind of projects to be more like Chris Carson than Rashad Penny. Yeah. But I will say this, like Rashad Penny's first offseason, he did not have the glowing reports that Zach Moss is having. He came into camp a little heavier. They weren't very happy with him. So there's some things there that I take a little bit of issue with, but I like the comparison as far as the headache and draft capital is concerned, right? You're like thinking about this team as like, oh, Zach Moss should be the guy. We're in a COVID offseason. So he could light up the practice field all he wants, but if he comes in and he doesn't know the playbook well enough at live game speed, it's going to take some time. Singletary is going to have a grasp on some of the things they like to do. But I think, like Austin said, once he does have that grasp, how could you ever not want to put the bigger, stronger, more efficient pass catcher on the field? At least that's what he's shown in college. Not translate to the NFL.
And the one point it needs to be mentioned, the one thing too, because all we're really basing this off of is the camp performances thus far. And Johnny's right about a potential headache coming up. And there's no greater headache to a coaching staff than a running back who fumbles. And that has been the lead headline thus far for Devin Singletary in camp. Has been his fumbling issues. He's going to have a leash coming in. If he doesn't fumble in a game, camp is going to be a past story. It's going to be history, and we forgot about it. But if he does fumble in this game, this first game coming up here, oh my goodness, that's going to just highlight everything that happened in camp. The coaching staff is going to view him as a fumbler, and that is really not good for his leash that's coming up, especially if Zach Moss hasn't shown any fumbling propensity at this point.
I don't think that's accurate. I I do think that, again, they will give Singletary
That they're
a little
concerned
bit.
about the fumbles?
They are concerned about the fumbles for sure, but if he fumbles week 1, I don't think they're all saying, "Oh, we're benching you full time and going full time with Zach Moss." That's not gonna. This team is going to run the ball a lot. Both guys are going to have value. If at the end of the year both these guys are top 20 running backs, I'm not going to be surprised because they're going to run the ball that much. They're going to score a lot of rushing touchdowns. So they're going to be fine, I think, overall, both of them. I just think that they're going to limit each other's upsides.
All right, I'm going to go a little rapid fire because I know we're trying to make sure we get off on a time limit here, but we also have some questions built up. So this one's for Austin. I'm going to go rapid fire. I'll keep asking you guys questions. Austin, I have the 8th pick, Harry Hippo says, in my 12-team standard league, and I'm pretty sure I can land Mixon or Nick Chubb. And some research I did is telling me that Josh Jacobs is a good pick. Who should I take from those 3? So maybe rank those 3 for me, Austin, and for Harry Hippo here.
So Harry Hippo is asking about Mixon, Nick Chubb, or Josh Jacobs right
yes,
here.
Sir.
So Nick Chubb's got the highest ceiling. He's the best runner of the bunch, but Kareem Hunt is a very good running back who is cemented into that system. It's going to limit his upside. Joe Mixon is looking like to be the 1 through 3 down back. He just got paid. There's some excitement there with Joe Burrow as the quarterback. I love what Joe Mixon's about. Josh Jacobs is very exciting as well, but he's got a little bit of the mystery box situation going on. You know, they got rid of Lynn Bowden Jr., who was slotted to be that backup role for him, even though had Jalen Richard. It was kind of going back and forth. This move with getting rid of Lynn Bowden Jr. for the Raiders suggests that Josh Jacobs is going to have a heavier workload. And hey, maybe you get lucky and Josh Jacobs' workload looks like Joe Mixon's. So from that perspective, I'd say just go with the more solidified choice. In the first round, I'm looking to eliminate question marks. I want someone that I can rely on that's going to be on the field every time I turn on the offense. So Joe Mixon for me is the best play. I like, and I'm. This is coming from a guy who's got Josh Jacobs and Nick Chubb on his dynasty team, and I love it. But I think you got to go Joe Mixon because he's locked into that 1 through 3 down role.
I like the take there. I think it's splitting hairs when it comes to Mixon and Chubb because, like you said, I think Chubb's upside is just a little bit capped with Kareem Hunt, but he may have a little bit more. But if Joe Burrow improves the offense, obviously, then you've got a Mixon upside too. All right, Johnny. Neil Peretz, 24, says, would you feel comfortable with JT as your RB2 at the moment? Ended up getting JT late round 4 after planning to go mod 0 RB from the 1-2. So he wants to know,
yes,
based on his roster, he's going to have JT RB2. Are you good with that?
Yeah, I'm good with that. It might seem like it'll be a little bit nerve-wracking a little bit for sure, but I think JT is going to be so talented. You'll be fine long term.
The reason I like, especially for the first week, right? They play Jacksonville. They're favored by more than 6 points in that game against Jacksonville, so he should get some run at least in week 1. Have you feeling a little bit better? Okay, so we're going here. Miles. Oh, no, we already answered that one. Sorry. Harry Hippo asks, Eckler or Sanders in the 2nd round? Austin, I'll give this one to you.
I like Sanders because of the volume play over there. It's looking like Eckler is going to be splitting some of that early down work with either with Josh Kelly or Jacobs. But it's for Sanders, his upside is limited only by injury, as far as I'm concerned, and I like I like the way that I expect the Eagles to be running. It's Miles Sanders for me. It's not even close unless something pops up with more information on the soft tissue.
I would 100% agree with that one. Johnny, last one. I think you answered it from the account as well, but maybe just elaborate a little bit on this. Rock Out asks, would you trade Tariq Cohen and Deshaun Jackson for Antonio Gibson?
I would because Antonio Gibson has the higher ceiling. Once again, you want to try to get the higher ceiling guys. Deshaun Jackson doesn't really have a high ceiling for me. And Tariq Cohen I like, but again, his ceiling is very, very capped because they're not going to use him between the tackles. He's just a pass catcher.
Guys, the next time we go live with Whisper Nation, there will have been fantasy football implications. Real football will have happened. Guys, I appreciate you. I appreciate Whisper Nation. Get in here. For Austin Sear, Johnny Game Time Hicks, I'm Big Travie, and we are the Fantasy Whisperers. We're out. Peace.
Make sure you hit that subscribe button.
Please.
Do it now.